Hello, welcome to this video. Before I start this video, I have multiple videos on application load balancer and network load balancer, and all the links are provided in the description. So, in this video, I am going to talk about how to convert a non-secured connections to the secured connection, and we are going to use the application load balancer. We are going to define a secured listener to take the client connections and forward those requests to the web app, and when we are securing these connections we need some certificates. Okay. So, let me first take the diagram what our present status is and what are we going to achieve as a target status. Okay. Now, here if you want to know more about this diagram, how we set up and all, watch my video which talks about the application load balancer using host based routing. Okay. Now, the present setup, because I am going to start my demo at this point. Okay. The present setup has two apps, red app and yellow app, and these two apps are front end by a load balancer which is an application load balancer, and it is getting the request from route 53, and the clients are sending connections to route 53 to access these apps. Okay. So, when the client access using redapp.ascamlabs.online host name, the route 53 forwards those requests to load balancer, and load balancer forwards those requests to the red app. If you see the protocol here, it is an HTTP used from the end user to the route 53, and again from route 53 it is a HTTP to forward requests to the load balancer, and again HTTP. So, the complete path is using HTTP which is an unsecured. Okay. So, at least we have to secure the connection as long as the connection is in the internet. So, the connection that is originated from end user to route 53, it is HTTPS. Okay. Now, what we are going to show in this demo is how to secure this connection from end user to route 53. That means, we are going to change this HTTP protocol to the HTTPS protocol. Okay. Similarly, the same thing for yellow app. So, instead of accessing the yellow app using HTTP, the user should be able to secure this connection and use HTTPS. So, in the next diagram, so this is what we are going to target. Okay. So, the users are using the HTTPS protocol, the route 53 then forwards request to the load balancer, and this request from there will be HTTP forwarding request to the EC2 instances. So, what we are doing from this is my existing setup and this is my target setup. Okay. In the target setup, if you see here, we are going to convert the HTTP connection to the HTTPS connection. One key thing that you need to note is these two. These two are representing certificates. So, we need to deploy or import some certificates into the load balancer, so that the connection that is coming from the end user is terminated at the application load balancer. So, when the connection, the HTTPS connection is terminated at the load balancer, and from this point it is internal to the AWS network. So, the connection that is from load balancer to the instances is HTTP. Even if it is HTTP, it is internal to the AWS network, and it does not matter even if it is HTTP or HTTPS. So, our problem is when the requests are coming from the end user to load balancer, and if it is using HTTP, it is encrypted, unencrypted and unsecure. So, we are going to make it as a secure. So, make a note of the two certificates that we are going to use. Okay. So, if you have any questions on this diagram, you can post them in the comments. So, I will respond as soon as I can. So, without further ado, let me switch to the console and show you what how we can achieve this one. Okay, I am into my AWS console. Now what I am going to do is, let me show you my present setup. So I have all these 4 instances serving my 2 apps, and I have also Route 53 and these 2 are my entries, red app and yellow app. So these 2 entries are coming forwarding requests to my load balancer. Now let me access these 2 and show you. Now http redapp.ascloud.online. So remember that I am using HTTP protocol here. Okay, this is my present setup. I am able to access my red app. You see the IP is keep changing, so the request is forwarded to the red app. Now the key thing here to note is it is not secure. You see here the widget set it shows here not secure. Now similarly, if I try to access my yellow app, okay, I can access my yellow app and the requests are forwarded to 2 EC2 instances that can be observed by this change in IP. Now at this point of time, this site is also not secure. Okay, so in both cases, when I am trying to access my app, the connections are not secure. Now what we are going to do is we are going to make it secure. Okay, now let me go back to the console. Let me access my EC2 home page and let me go back to the load balancer. Okay, so all the conversion or whatever I can do, I have to do it at the load balancer. Okay, now here there is a tab which is listener. Click that, and the present listener is an HTTP which is taking client requests on port 80, and this is not secure. Okay, now I am going to add a new listener. Okay, and this time the listener will be the HTTPS. Okay, now I am going to change this to HTTPS and the port will be 443. Okay, so I should make sure that the security group allows this port to talk to the web server, and I have to choose one default app for this. So the default app will be the red app. Okay, and this is not the actual rule, but this is a default app to access the HTTPS listener. Then, and the key and important thing that we are going to do is Ssl certificate. Okay, for any connection, to make it secure from unsecure, you need to have a security certificate, and the security certificate are provided by the certificate authority to tell you that okay, this particular site is authenticated, you can trust it. So we need a certificate which tells that okay, redapp.ascloud.online is a secured site. So I am going to access and import that certificate. So I am going to use Amazon to create the certificate, but you can as well create these certificates from any third party vendors. But it is easy for me to show the certificate, create a certificate and import in AWS. So right now I do not have any certificates. Now I am going to create one certificate using the ACM. Okay, if you do not know what is a certificate manager, just follow these steps, but when the topic comes for the discussion on ACM or certificate manager, we will talk more details on how to create certificate and a few other details. Okay, I am going to create a new certificate. Now at this point of time, I have to specify what is the domain that I am trying to access, what is the host name. So I am going to access redapp.ascloud.online. Okay, so this is what I am going to access in the browser. This is the site I am going to make it secure. Okay, now click next. There are 2 types of validation that I can do, either email validation or DNS validation. So DNS validation is easy compared to the email validation, because I can just validate right in the console itself. Okay, so I'm choosing the DNS validation and click next. I'm not adding any tags, review. Okay, so here I'm going to confirm that I'm going to create a certificate. Okay, now the certificate request is in progress, and here if you expand, a very important thing, follow this step. You have to expand the domain here, and then you will find a tab here which states create record in route 53. So what it does is it creates a record, a CNAME record in your route 53. I will show you shortly. So that validates, okay, the authenticity of my website and issues a valid certificate for me. So I'm going to click this one, create record in route 53. Okay, so this is the CNAME that is going to be created. Let me go back to the console. And show you route 53 hosted zone, this one. Okay, so right now I do not have any CNAME record. So when I choose and validate here, it is going to insert this record into my route 53. Create, that says it is successful. So it is successfully inserted that record into my route 53 hosted zone. Let me refresh it. You see here, this CNAME record is created now. Okay, now by creating this CNAME, the Amazon ACM validates my website, and I am the valid user, and it issues a certificate for me. Okay, if I continue here, okay, now we can see the status here. The status says it is issued. Now I can use this certificate in my web app in the application load balancer configuration, so that I can make this connection as a secure connection. Okay, so in case if the status did not turn into issued, you should wait till the certificate status turns into issued. Now I can go back to my load balancer, route 53, load balancer, listener. As I mentioned earlier, I am going to create HTTPS. It is on 443. The default action is to forward to Red App. I am doing all these steps because I moved out of that session. And now here, okay, from this page we move to creating a certificate. Now I am at the same page. Now if I expand this one, now you can see the certificate here. So this is the certificate that we have created, and the status is also turned issued. Okay, now I'm going to use this certificate, and then I'm going to save it. Okay, so this is successfully saved. Now if I see here, I have two listeners. One is HTTP, which is a non-secured connection to my application load balancer, and I also have an HTTPS, which is a secured connection to my redapp.ascamlabs.online. Okay, now at this point of time, I should be able to access my redapp.ascamlabs.online securely. So let me access the browser. Okay, now here I am going to use HTTPS, because now we secured our site, redapp.ascamlabs.online. Okay. Okay. Now if you see here, the connection is HTTPS, and I am able to access my web server Red App. And also if you see the connection here, if I click here, the connection is secure. Okay, so you need to get this message saying that the connection is secure. Okay, now if I expand this certificate, it states, okay, the certificate is issued by Amazon, and if you click onto the details, the certificate is issued by Amazon to authenticate the redapp.ascamlabs.online. Okay, now Amazon confirms that, okay, if you access this site, it is secured and I authenticate it. Okay, now this is how we can make an unsecured connection to a secure. Now, if I access using HTTP, okay, it's still so, because here I accessed using HTTP, it is a non-secured. But if you access using HTTPS, the connection is secure, and whatever data that transmits to this connection to the load balancer, it is encrypted. Now, what about the other app, the Ssl app? Now, let me access the Ssl app using HTTPS app.ascloud.online. Okay, so I'm going to use HTTPS secured connection for my Ssl app. Okay, it says it is not secure, and let me add this to validity. Okay, now because the default app is still the red app, it forwards that request to load balancer, and load balancer is still serving a non-secure connection for my Ssl app. So, you need to understand the difference between these two. Now, when I access the Ssl app, even if I access this using HTTPS, and it is stating it as non-secure, and when I expand this certificate, it is saying invalid, because this certificate, it is issued only to redapp.ascmlabs.online. It is not issued for the Ssl app.ascmlabs.online. So, that confirms. So, you have to use valid certificate for your site. Now, at this point of time, because I cannot use the same certificate issued earlier for my red app, I have to now create a different certificate and use that certificate which is related to Ssl app to access my Y app. Okay. Now, because the other reason, that is one reason why it is still not secure. The reason that you are getting still a red page, because red app, because the in the load balancer listener configuration, let me go back to the listener. So, here we just defined the default app as the red app, because we have not defined any rules how it should behave for the red app and Ssl app. But those rules are defined for HTTP. We have not defined those rules for HTTPS. If you expand this HTTP rules, so here you have all the three rules which talks about how to route the request. But if I expand the same thing for HTTPS, we have not defined any rules. Now, we are going to define those rules here and see how it behaves. Okay. So, here insert rule, condition, host based, redapp.ascmlabs.online, forward the request to redapp group. Okay. Now, save the setting. So, this is one rule which states about redapp. I am going to insert another rule here. I am going to talk about Y app ascmlabs.online, and if that is the host name that I am accessing, then forward request to the Ssl app. Okay. Now, save this rule. Okay. Now, in HTTPS also we have defined the two rules which talks about host based routing. Now, let me access the Ssl app now. Okay. Now, I am able to access the Ssl app using HTTP. Yes, but if you see, still it is not secured, and even though if we access HTTPS, okay, it is still not secure, because we did not we do not have valid certificate for this particular site. Now, what we have to do is we have to go back to the certificate manager, and we have to create a new request for my certificate. Okay. So, the way to create is you come to the certificate manager homepage and request a certificate, and it will be a public certificate. Okay. And then I am going to specify yapp.ascmlabs.online. So, this is my site which I am going to request the certificate for. Next, As I mentioned earlier, I am going to do the DNS validation because it is easy for me. No tags, review and confirm and request. Okay, so you have to wait for the validation to complete and then expand this tab, and you should see a tab. Okay, now you see a tab here which actually puts an entry in the route 53 and validates the authenticity of this record. Okay, now create record in route 53. Now this adds another CNAME record, create, and it is successfully adding. If you have any issues here, that means the domain that you are trying to access is not properly authenticated by you. Okay, now create, continue. Okay, so now the yellow app is also issued, the status turned to issued. Now I can go back to my load balancer. Okay, so here in my HTTPS load balancer, now I can import the new certificate. So the beauty of the application load balancer when compared to the classic load balancer is we can import multiple certificates into the same application load balancer. Okay, so I'm going to, because we already imported one certificate for the red app, now I'm going to import another certificate for yellow app. Now you have to click this view edit certificate. Okay, now here click on place. Okay, now all the certificates that are in your account will be displayed here. You have to select the right certificate that you need to import. So I'm going to import the yellow app certificate and I choose that and then click on import certificate. Okay, let me go back. So edit certificates, place, select this certificate and then click this button add. So then the certificate will be successfully added to this listener. Okay, now this HTTP and this load balancer, application load balancer, it has two valid certificates imported to authenticate or to encrypt data for both my apps. Now I can go back to here yellow app. Now let me refresh this. Let me close this and access it again. Okay, now if you see here, now my yellow app is also secure. You see the connection is secure, and if you see the certificate, and this certificate is valid only for my yellow app. So the certificate is issued by Amazon. Okay, so what we have done is we have successfully converted an unencrypted unsecured connection to my web app using certificates, and those certificates are issued by Amazon. Okay, if you have any questions around the certificates or around how to secure your connections, please post your questions in the comments. I will revert as soon as I can. And that is about application load balancer and converting the non-secured connection to a secured connection. Okay, now hope that gives you some understanding how you can convert non-secure to secure connection on application load balancer. Okay, so if this is the first time you are here, please subscribe my channel for any future updates. I keep updating my videos very frequently, so you will get notifications for all my videos. So thanks for your time here and have a good day. Bye.